Roll.
Miss Berger.
Aye.
Wait a second. Miss Barmore. Let me see if she's on Zoom. Yeah. I'm logged in a closed session. Miss Kendrick.
Aye.
Miss Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Townsend. Absent. Miss Barmore. Absent. Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Miss Graves.
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
Motion carries 5-0.
Medium, John. You adjourn?
Okay,
Medium, adjourn, close
now we're
session.
moving to closed session.
There
Thank
you
you.
go. There you go.
pretty reasonable, lunch special, I think you get almost a half a pound of fish for two sides.
Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
A lot different crowd from the last meeting.
Yeah.
Full house.
Yeah, we had a full house last time, didn't we? That was good. All the kids here, right?
Yes. Especially some of them were former students of mine.
Yeah.
Are we, so how are we doing the Zoom? Or are you, because David told us that we were gonna stick to a current agenda for Zoom. Is that right? Okay.
I didn't know about it though. I mean, we don't have technically have to have a Zoom.
Okay.
So we're trying to provide it. I think we have one board member that we have. We're trying to get on.
Okay. I mean, our thing is too, if you guys want to be seen on the Zoom, you guys have to like log into it.
Yeah, yeah. Or we at one point have one camera set up. See the
And then I know.
but as long as we can run everything here,
At least
we'll
on
just stick with that for
the
tonight.
Okay.
We'll have to figure out exactly what we're gonna stay with on a regular basis.
Right.
Instead of going back and forth.
Okay. Yeah, I just got some mixed signals, so I was like, I'm just gonna move my hands up and see what he wants
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. I think we'll just keep it like that for now.
Okay. I just wanted to start it.
Did she post a public Zoom for the meeting?
Yeah, there is one.
There is one.
Yeah. It's up and out on the go, so.
Okay, that's fine. Just leave it. We'll just leave it. But when people can, so those people can actually,
They can see the agenda because we have a,
Oh, okay.
we have a Zoom up right now on here.
Right. Oh, okay, so they can see who's there.
Yeah, they will.
They'll see.
Yeah, we have the camera turned off now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do some shit, might as well.
They can't hear.
She does it, and she makes it.
Unless one of us puts it on.
Yes, sir. Correct.
There you go.
We'll have this thing put it on.
And she has 2
Okay.
years, and it's been a time for time.
And then how, are you guys recording the meeting still?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna have that.
It'll be recorded, yeah.
That's-
So it's being recorded on Zoom.
It's gonna be interesting to see.
As far as I know, second grade's solid, first grade's solid. I wanna say there's 4 English ones with one being kindergarten. In third grade, I don't know if she's staying, but it's gonna be at least 2. One sub and one not sub. Miller is good. Second year, student teaching is good. 2 fourth grade teachers.
It's probably, honestly, it's probably just.
I'm hoping that teachers. Yes. Yep. You never tell who's more excited. Yep. she asked me to coach PE teacher at something. Probably see what happens. Just play games all day long. Yeah, I could probably do that too. And I think you inspire me with your deep movies.
you know. So you just got touched, just a touch.
See, what I like to do is go back in the backlog and be like, well, back on this day, you gotta follow.
Is your daughter part of the musical? Because we're gonna go tomorrow.
Really? Okay. Yeah, she's really excited. Just in case.
What is this? This is, you better watch what you do. I know. Okay. That's it. She's not gonna be able to sleep. Everybody here.
Why you down here recording my
No,
computer? Hold on,
Because then they'll be saying that Mr. Wright was doing.
I'm sorry, who are you?
They'll
Oh,
put that
okay.
on the front page.
Right. Right, a nice picture of you. I did get your form. The items that you mentioned are actually
I was
not
almost,
agenda
you know,
items, so.
I would retaliate.
But you know what you
That'd be
can do?
nice.
Thank you so much. Well, and that's what I was trying to explain to you. So you're sweating her hoodie. So audience comments is not necessarily an agenda item itself. So when we say an item on the agenda, so essentially any of those other things that are on the slate, you're more than welcome to do a comment on based on those procedures. However, if you want, you have questions as well, right? Yeah, the one that you submitted, we actually have a separate form if you want a response from the board. We can definitely do that. That's a different form. Well, it makes me wonder what you want to say. Okay. Why don't we do this? Because as far as public comment for today, we do not have you slated for today. However, if you want some kind of question, I can send you the link for the inquiry, and that will get you a response from the board.
Cynthia, how you doing? No, I was just, no, yeah, that's fine.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah,
I didn't even.
right, yeah, bye Cynthia. Thank you.
chair broken too, or is that,
That just won't, yeah.
this one won't come up? Which one do you sit?
I got mine.
Extra, okay, I'm gonna sit in the one that doesn't roll, because I'd rather be up high.
Oh, Lord. And then I need to hit that extra. That's in the back now. Are they running off theirs?
Probably running on Wi-Fi.
Good evening, board and audience, and those on Zoom. We will now resume our meeting. The time is 6:36. At this time, I'm gonna see, hold on just a second, our secretary just left for a second. Okay. Okay. At this time, we're gonna call the roll.
Madam Chair, you gonna wait for the secretary? Oh, you gonna do it? Okay, thanks.
All right.
Want a motion for us to come back in? Madam Chair, I make a motion that we come from closed session now into open session.
Can I get a second, please?
I second it.
Well, it's been properly moved and seconded to come back in to open session. Mr. O'Bean, would you call the roll?
I would gladly call the roll, Madam President. Director Reagan?
Aye.
Director Berger?
Here.
Yeah,
Director Kendrick?
Here.
Director Coleman? Director Townsend? President Graves?
Here.
Director Barmore? Absent.
The vote is 6-0. Okay. Okay, as we begin to start our meeting, I do want to say this, that we will utilize Robert's Rules of Order as required by our board policy, and we will conduct our meetings in an effective way. I am asking our board members, if you do have a question, let me acknowledge you. Sometimes it's difficult to see everybody, so sometimes you'll see my head like this to make sure that I see you. So if you do have a question, please wait and just let me acknowledge you. Thank you. Now I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adopt the agenda as printed.
Can I get a second?
I second it.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. O'Bean, will you call the roll again?
Director Reagan?
Aye.
Director Berger?
Aye.
Director Kendrick?
Aye.
Director Coleman?
Aye.
Director Townsend? Aye. President Graves?
Aye.
Director Barmore? Absent. 6-0.
Okay, motion carries 6-0. Okay, now we'll go to item 5.4 on our agendas, and it's approval of the consent items.
No, it's minutes. Minutes.
Yes, it is consent items.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I move that we approve the consent item.
Hey, can I get a second on that, please?
I second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the consent items.
Would you like a roll call? No discussion.
Is there any discussion, board?
There's no discussion.
No
on
discussion on
consent
consent item, okay.
items, Right, we need to vote that.
Okay,
So, okay, we're gonna do call, roll.
yes,
Director Coleman?
Yes. Aye.
Okay, Director Townsend?
Aye.
Director Reagan? Director Berger?
Aye.
Aye.
Director Kendrick?
Aye.
Director Graves?
Aye.
Director Graves? Director Barmore? Absent. 6-0.
Okay, motion carries 6-0. Now we'll have superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Graves. I'm excited to share superintendent comments tonight because it will be very brief. One, I wanted to acknowledge that this month, March, is Women's History Month. And you'll see throughout our district that our students and our staff are recognizing the accomplishments and contributions of women. And you'll see that in the community as well, too. So I encourage all who are watching to recognize a woman from history and also from the present in terms of their contributions to society. But I wanted to recognize a particular woman that's on the board tonight. If many of you have seen the latest version of the Telegraph. We have our very own Director Berger, who is in the Telegraph, and she has been on a pursuit on getting candidates at the municipal level. That means board candidates as well as city councilors, and she's been doing a tour of our area and sharing with them some of the needs that we have in order to elicit some support so that we can get more support around. I wanted to kind of acknowledge that and thank Director Berger for taking on this initiative. I know it's a lot of time and effort, and we'd be happy to reimburse your mileage if needed.
Oh,
as you
no, that's
continue.
not necessary.
I knew you would say that. That's why I asked. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for bringing the attention to our area. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Um, the-
Also, Beth, I want to thank the board. Let's give her a hand. She's out there and she's always talking about the work and she's doing it. So thank you so much for the work. And it's not easy, I know.
The one component of students I want to recognize that if you're not aware, our boys basketball team has done really well this year, and we were going to have them here to be recognized, but it's almost March break, and trying to wrangle teenagers is quite difficult. So we'll try to get them here at a later date. But they made it all the way to the state finals, the state tournament, and unfortunately they ended their path along the way and didn't get to the final four. But they did quite well going through their conference and winning their divisions and regionals and getting to the state. So kudos to the coaches and the staff at Ruskin and those boys who excelled in this particular area and sort of represented us as Hickman Mills.
Good job. Good job.
Yep, we had two first team all conference, two first team all district, one second team all district, and coach of the year, district and conference, I believe.
There we go. Good stuff. All right. And that is the end of my report, Madam President.
Okay, now we'll have Ms. Wilksey for the financial report.
Good evening.
This is the financial update for the end of February 2023. See, we're still all in June.
We can't hold
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Is it on now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can see the budget variance report for February that we are still all in green. And we actually ended a little higher this month at a 54.37. Is it? Yes. Sorry, it's hard for me to see it, the green. And that is due to the transportation aid coming in a little bit higher than normal. So, do I have any questions on the financial updates? Or the budget variance report?
Not on that part.
Okay. So this evening, I was gonna go over the Board of Education's budget, just for informational, so. As you can see, we are running a little behind in some areas, over in others. I'm gonna come down here and see if I can read this and you still hear me. So the first one is that there has been an increase in the board budget by $30,000 from the starting budget to now. There has also been the legal services budget. It's understated, as there are still quite a few months that haven't been invoiced for. So we're probably looking at another 50 to 60,000 that will need to be added to that before the year end. Election services is higher than normal just because of the amount that we received or that we paid, I'm sorry, for the August election, but we did receive a reimbursement from the Kansas Kansas City Election Board just actually yesterday, I believe. So that helped a little. And then there's also been an increase in the travel by $5,395 this year. So I'll go back up here if you want to take a look. I just pulled out the accounts. You have the beginning budget. The working budget is what we're working off of now. The month to date, year to date. Anything that's been encumbered and ready to pay for next month. These are all the purchase order encumbrances that haven't been paid, and then this is the balance for the year. So, do I have any questions regarding the board's budget this time?
Can I, Ms. Wilson, before you go on, just can you go back to your last slide?
Yes.
Because this item's on here because there have been board members requested to have a conversation on this or to review this. And I know that one of the things that we've asked the board to do is at their board retreat to go through a process of identifying the board budget. So you're not having to transfer money or make up deficits in terms of doing that. And I think the board has started to respond already around the travel piece. If you remember the last board meeting, they changed that policy around the travel piece, so that'll help. So for board members, if they look at this and start thinking about what they really want in the budget, so when we get to the retreat part, we'll be able to have that conversation and be able to do that. There's nothing that really to do at this point, but to share it with you the information here. So you can go back to the slide.
And I wanted to say if you look at the legal services piece, I started out with 280, but we've transferred money out of that line to cover the deficits in other accounts. So that's why we're needing an additional 50 to 60,000 to get us through the end of the year.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When you do budget transfers, you're transferring money into the board budget from other areas of the budget.
I try to stay within the board budget.
Okay.
And if I cannot do that, then I go out and I find money that is not being used in other areas and I transfer it.
And then does the board have to approve the budget transfers, or do they just happen?
They just happen.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, I do like a major revision and then show the fund balance transfers also.
All right, thank you.
Madam President, Ms. Wilson, what's the red for? That red for that 1,000, that 8,200.
Election services.
That
is
was a
that?
journal entry I did to move some money out of that account that had been charged incorrectly to the election line.
Where did you put it? Where they rolled it to?
It went back to communications. It was for advertising, actually for the August election.
Thank you.
Any other questions, board?
So right now, I just need an approval of the March 2023 financial updates.
Can I get a motion to approve the financial updates?
I move that we accept the financial updates for March 2023.
I second it.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded to accept the recommendation. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for approval. Ms. Hicks.
Ms. Berger?
Aye.
Ms. Barmore? Still absent. Ms. Kendrick?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Townsend?
Aye.
Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Mr. Reagan?
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Now we'll move on to item 7.2, school building update.
All right, so we've got Director Robinson, and we've got some backup with our construction and architects here as well too. This presentation is basically an opportunity for the board to do a check-in. You know, prior to the bond, the board were working on a master plan, and the board had a lot of really good ideas in terms of what we could do. And there are a lot of actions to be taken. A lot of things have happened since then. So I thought it would be prudent before we as staff make decisions and go forward, I really wanted the board to kind of chime in and make the decisions around the next steps, because there are some pieces. So you'll see, I'm going to take a step back, and then we'll move into the presentation. If you can advance the slide. Okay, so everything still falls under our CSIP in terms of the goals. These are the goal areas. Okay, so here's one. Okay, so here's a slide I captured from conversation we actually had back in May and then July. If you remember when we were talking about doing some renovations to Simonton to make that a school, at that time we had estimates around 7 to 8.6 million, right? And the building was in pretty good shape. After that, we had several fires and all kinds of vandalism. And if the board remembers, advance the slide. Then the board made a decision to demo both buildings, because those were recommendations from our construction architects in terms of the utilization of those buildings, right? So we demoed it. So we've started the demolition process. So they're going to be demoed. We've got the properties, okay? Right. So that happened pre-bond, and the bond happened, and then so we always needed some additional dollars to complete the whole plan. And so we're back here to talk to you realistically in terms of how much money we realistically have and what our needs are, and for the board to make a next step decision. So if we turn the slide. Okay. So you're going to get a presentation. You're going to let staff take over, but you're going to get two options here in terms of recapturing some dollars to do the new school site as originally wanted, or using one of our existing facilities to create a site that we could use as part of our middle school redesign and have that. It all has to do with money and dollars and actions that board has to take. So I know you received this package earlier. I sent it out so the board can review it, and we're going to try to give you as much detail as possible. The sooner you can make a decision, the sooner we can start the process and start the design processes and the building and all those types of things. So that's what we're here to do tonight. So, Mr. Robinson, if you want to start with the first.
Sure. Good evening, directors. As Superintendent Obang just communicated, we were tasked with exploring a couple of options as we look at the future we want in our facilities for schools. The two options we're exploring tonight, the first is a new school building being built on our current Simonton site after that demolition has been completed. And before, as I start, I'd like to also say I'm joined with Scott from HTK and Ashley from McCown Gordon Construction that are assisting us with this bond and these efforts. What this shows you, if we were to engage in a new school build on the Simonton site, this gives you an example of some of the types of learning spaces that we would be looking to create in the future that we want as we're working for our students and preparing learning environments. So the 21st century learning environments, you'll see the types of spaces that we're looking to do are open areas, lots of natural light that come in, but also give students the learning opportunity for collaboration outside of the classroom as well as in the classroom. So some of the first pictures you'll see our architects with HTK are looking to design open circulation spaces. You'll see that even common in the media center. Places for team teaching to happen between collaboration with teachers. But then in the bottom, you'll see like small gathering spaces where students come together, flexible group learning spaces, as well as breakout areas outside of the classroom. So the entire school will have a culture and feeling of learning that our students can be excited about, but learning can happen inside or outside of the classroom. And this will give you an idea of some of the other exterior spaces. The gyms, as you know, would also serve one thing that's different here. With new builds and code, we're required to have storm shelters, so in this case, gyms would be that. But you'll also see educational courtyards, and again, just with some of the aesthetics, outdoor learning, stairs, and things that serve as stairs, but also as outdoor learning places as well. And now Ms. Wiltsey will share some of the financial strategies of how we might get there if we were to go with the option of a new school build.
And can I say before you go on, the both options, we still want to have those same concepts of these flexible spaces in whatever we do. So those two graphics gives you an idea of whatever we do, we're going to look to replicate, open spaces, teaching class, collaboration, media centers. So that's what's going to be in whatever we do, whatever we decide, you'll get that level of excellence.
Are we going with the gym/cafeteria, or are we doing something else?
So if for elementary builds, it usually is a multi-purpose gym/cafeteria, so that depends on the level, elementary versus middle or high school.
As Superintendent Obeng said, we have two options for you tonight, and option A is what it would take for a new building. So you see that there is an estimated $10.7 million bond campaign that will be needed. A 1.1% tax levy would be transferred from the general fund tax levy. And this would result in an estimated overall fund balance of 28.5 from the 54.37 we're at today. So, and that is an estimated time of completion of 34 months.
So before you go on, I feel compelled to kind of rehash some of this just so the board, can you roll it down again? Yes, this would require a bond campaign because it's $35 million. The tax levy that we already passed, so the 1.10 is a portion of the 1.35, so we'd have to take some of that. And then, of course, our fund balance would be reduced, but it's still in the green, so it's still healthy, but it's a significant reduction. But the one piece that really concerns me is the 34 months, right? We're trying to change our middle schools and change our schools. 3 years is a long time in terms of trying to do that. And to be honest, I would love to have that design done in the same time frame that board members are still on the board, right? So we may have, it might be some different people, but if we start taking too long. Every month that we don't make a decision, it's probably another 1 or 2 months we're adding on to the time we get there. So, okay.
This is the scenario of how I came up with the funding for the $35.1 million. And then that takes us to the school at the Burke site. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Robinson.
So a second option, as Ms. Wilson shared, a new school build gives you an idea of what we would be investing in a new school build. The second option is repurposing one of our existing schools, for example, our Burke site, as a different purpose school and what that might look like. So we've done a walk with our architects and construction, HTK and McCown Gordon, and we're assessing the Burke site, and we're pleased to be able to report that we've done some renovations with the current bond, and the building is in good shape. The plan would be, if we use the Burke option, to go in and do some moderate, light to moderate renovations to make it, again, as Superintendent Obeng said, to refreshen more and bring in more of the 21st century learning environments, as you saw in some of the previous diagrams. But this just gives you an idea of the overlay of the Burke site and what's possible. One of the things the board did ask was for us to explore spaces for our community center. So that's what you will see as we're continuing to explore that possibility. You'll see this area would be an extension on our Burke site if we went this direction for space for them. And the thing that our architects have designed well, we think what the conceptual design like this is, they would not have to impact the operation of the school. A community center in this design would have its own entrance and be completely separated from the function and operation of the school. But we're keeping the community center priority in mind, as the board has asked us to do. And Ms. Wilson will be able to share what type of investment repurposing a school like Burke would cost us.
So this would be option B, and this would not need a bond campaign. There will be no need for a capital levy transfer. And it would be resulting in an estimated overall fund balance of 42.365 from the 54 that we are now. So, and an estimated time of completion of 18 months for a total estimated cost of $10 million.
And once again, even with the estimated time frame, it's much shorter, but we're able to use that school right now, and we're going to continue to use it, so we wouldn't have to stop, right? There's no stop, and as you saw in the graphics, some of the construction will happen outside, and there are some classrooms that we have to do, and we would be able to work around that piece, right?
So this, compared to the other scenario, is how I would be able to fund the $10 million. So, and that takes me into the next slide, which is the retroactive capital adjustment that you see on the sheet. DESI allows the school district to go back 5 years and capture any of the classroom trust fund or the capital that has not been transferred to capital and bring that forward every year. So right now, that would bring us that $10.5 million that we were discussing right here by bringing all of that over. The district normally zeroes out its capital fund balance, so we haven't had a base, and so this would make our base at $10.5 million. So, but to do this, I do need an approval by the board. So, and it is a decrease in our fund balance of 12%, and that's where you would see that 54 to the 42. Am I ready to go into the recommendations?
Question. Yeah, I guess you can ask two recommendations, and then you do the recommendation, and they'll have a discussion and decide which one they want, right?
Okay. So recommendation A is the superintendent recommends approval of the financial strategies for option A, the new school building. The recommendation is inclusive of the transfer from the general fund to capital fund from the past 5 school years, from 2017-18 to 2021-22. And then option B is basically the same, but the superintendent recommends approval of the financial strategies for option B, the Burke School and Community Center renovation. The recommendation is inclusive of the transfer from the general fund to the capital fund for the past 5 years, 2017-18 to 2021-22.
You need a recommendation, and then you can have a discussion.
Madam Chair. I like, scroll it down. The other down.
The other way?
All right, stop. B.
B. There you go. I move that we take the superintendent's recommendation and approve the approval of the financial strategy for option B, Burke School and Community Center renovation. The recommendations is inclusive of transfer from the general fund to the capital fund from the past 5 school years.
It's been properly moved and seconded to accept the recommendation for option B, which is Burke School, the renovation of Burke School. Are there any, is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I have a question. What if we redo Burke? Currently, will be next year housing our 8th graders. So how will we be converting that school? Will it be an elementary school? Will it be middle school? What would be the purpose of it?
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, currently right now we have plans to house our 8th graders there. If we can have this plan, it's going to take a few months for us to work with the architects and decide on what the design's going to be, right? And then at that point, we will talk about what the middle school redesign, what school we're going to use, the old Smith Hill, we're going to use the new building, and we'll be able to determine where we're going to go. So we'll come back to the board once we've had the conversation with architects and figure out which buildings are best for that. But we need that extra building, then we'll be able to say, hey, here are our options, this is what we think we're going to go, and then you'll have an opportunity to put royal descent on that.
Thank you.
One thing I didn't see in this budget, I see that we are.
Mr. Reagan, let me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you.
No,
I'm sorry,
I'm
Madam.
reading my
I'm
head.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. One thing that I've noticed in this budget, I didn't see, how many teachers you're going to need in each building. That wasn't included, and I don't know if you added that in. And I do know that punch orders, sometimes you run into problems. So even though you're showing 10 million, it will probably go up to about, with all my times looking at a bond, you're going to probably be up to 16 million. And you're going to be going back and forth because of the cost of what is going on. As we keep on talking about COVID each and every day, prices are still going up. So with that being stated, and my second thing is that I know we made a recommendation on each, but I thought we were supposed to do it on both, and then if we vote the A down, then we go to the B, because we never got a motion for A, and then we never did the motion for that one. So with that, I'm gonna just do the first question. I didn't see the teachers involved, and did you put all that into play?
Sure, I'll do that, and then maybe one of our ELT members might want to chime in. I say first of all, the option A, option B are for the board to choose one or the other. So we don't need a recommendation for A. So the board has chosen B. The question around the teachers, that's a great question, because we've actually done that already. So next year when we have the eighth graders there, we're now hiring for that school. So we already have our teacher complement for that school. So even though we have the buildings, we're just gonna split up the cohorts in terms of where we're going. And that's one of the issues in ensuring that we don't build too many schools because we don't have the capacity for it right now. We don't have the numbers and we don't have the teachers to build a sixth grade center, seventh grade center, eighth center, and spread them all around. So doing this approach will help us be able to meet that threshold in terms of how many classrooms we need. So therefore equates to how many teachers we need, and we'll move it step by step. But we're going to make sure that you know that we're trying to do this step by step. That's why we're coming here instead of making a decision. So you're kind of involved in what's going on. And then once we've done this part, we'll come back and we'll say, okay, here we are. We've done this, and this is what we're going to go for the next step. And you'll be part of engaging in that piece and give your insight. But that was a really good question because that's something we had to think about beforehand.
Madam Chair, go ahead.
I have a quick question. What are we gonna do with the Symington building?
It's being demoed as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never
Well, yeah,
mind.
that was a problem, right? Because if we didn't have to demo it, we would be able to use it and we would have renovated. But we have to demo it, so it's gone. Back to earth, yeah.
Director Reagan, did you have another question?
Yes, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what are we doing with Smith Hill? What is it housing at this time? What grade are you going to be housing in the big Smith Hill up there, or whatever it's called now?
Yeah. I know we're getting a little off track here, but that's a good question because people want to know. Next year, as we're moving the eighth graders to Burke, next year the current Smith Hill building, they'll have the sixth and seventh graders will be there. So we moved from the sixth grade center. We had a great success this year with the sixth graders by themselves, and we don't want to lose that momentum we've had with that teacher, those administrators. So they're going to stay together, and then we're going to build. Those kids go to seven, and then we enter in the new group as we go. We had a parent meeting several weeks ago. I think it was. There was a couple of board members who were there around that. So we've had some conversations around that, and there's been communication around that. So we're well on our way for that initiative.
And I might say the parents were okay with that.
Yeah, they were they were receptive. Yeah.
So I don't know, Director Reagan asked about budget and exceeding that, and we have Ashley with McCown Gordon that can speak to cost of escalation and how we factor in for escalated or inflation over time.
Hello, Ashley with McCown Gordon. When we're putting together budget estimate numbers for construction, we're utilizing a lot of our cost history as well as trying to implement, or nobody has a crystal ball, nobody knows what the market's going to do, but we're trying to accommodate that in our estimates. So we're carrying months of escalation when we think the design and it would be ready for construction within our budgets.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions, board?
Okay, we're seeking a vote then on the recommendation.
All right, we're seeking a vote, board. Ms. Six, will you call the roll?
Ms. Barmore? Absent. Ms. Berger?
Aye.
Ms. Kendrick?
Aye.
Mr. Reagan?
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Townsend,
Aye.
Ms. Graves,
Aye.
pass 6-0.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And let me thank our architects for coming out and supporting us tonight. And look forward to the continued work.
Okay. All right, now we're ready for item 8.1, open enrollment.
Thank you, Madam President. This is an item that was, I guess, recommended from board members who wanted to have a conversation about the open enrollment legislation. Hope board members have had a chance to look at it. It's being debated at the legislature right now, and we have Fred Dreeling, our lobbyist, is keeping close track on it as well too. I wanted to share some information with you to give you some context as you have the conversation. This is not a map. This is not an we're not bringing this as looking for recommendations, just for information, and the board wanted to have conversation on this. But this particular open enrollment legislation, we're in a unique situation where Hickman Mills has a 2-year carve out, so we don't have to comply with it, and we can set the limits on students transferring out for 2 years. So that's a benefit to us. At the same time, I think we're supporting not to have this legislation happen because it could mean negative impact on our district in the long term. And most urban districts are not supporting this, and many boards have had this conversation around. But we're in a unique situation where we have a carve out, and this happened. I think it was last year. Legislator Sharp was able to get that in one of the amendments, and so we have that luxury of holding that. It also has an impact, and it may change if you are accredited or not accredited. So that's the other piece that would impact or not impact. Well, it impacts us either way, right? So those are some elements for you. Hopefully you had a chance to kind of bruise it, and I turn it back to you, Madam President, as the board members want to just have a conversation on this topic. So.
Okay, board, does anyone have any comments on this?
Yes.
I've
All right,
been
Ms. Conlon, I'll
following
get
it and had a conversation with Mark about it. And when he explained that he had introduced that to go in there, that Hickman Mills would be excluded for that for 2 years. That was a great thing. So he was looking out for us on that.
Ms. Kendricks?
Yes. Representative Sharp did mention that that was carved out for our district, but he also stated to cautionably be aware that it can be written out of the bill, and that most likely a chance that it could be, but hopefully hopefully the bill doesn't pass, and I would encourage our stakeholders to reach out to their legislators to against this open enrollment.
I plan to be in Jeff City next week.
Great.
Right. Madam President.
Yes.
Also, me and Director Kendrick were both listening to Mr. Sharp yesterday. One of the other things he said was this type of legislation's been coming out of the House or for at least the last 4 years, and it's been barely making it out, barely getting enough votes to get out to become come to the floor. So he said usually it's around 82 to 84 votes. This time it was 86. He's not quite sure if it would actually become a law, but a lot of his rural colleagues are against it simply because they can't afford to have students leave their districts either, and the cost for a student to go from one small town to another small town will be pretty devastating to a district. So there's a lot of representatives that are against this bill. So it does have a tough climb. I mean, it's scary, but it's not a done deal, but it's something to keep eye on.
Any other questions, Ward?
No questions, but I do have a question for the board. Ms. Coleman talked about the legislative visit she's looking at next week, and that brings me to the question that comes to the board president for the board, is that there are a number of webinars and legislative visits and things like that for board members, and I'm wondering if the board president wants to take a motion or give direction to allow board members to take part in the activity. Any of those activities, we would take it out of the board budget, even though you heard what Director Wiltsey just said about the lack of funds, but that's where it would come from if we wanted to send, if we wanted to send 2 board members down next week, and you wanted to come from the board budget, then you just let us know that. So that's for you to decide how you want to deal with that.
Directors, if anybody wants to attend a webinar, just email me. I don't have a problem with that. There's a possibility I might go down to Jefferson City with Ms. Coleman. I think, I'm not sure, but any of these things that you're interested in, just send me an email. That's all you have to do. I want to go, whatever the date is. There's no issue. Okay, so please just let me know. Just send me an email.
Madam President, isn't the MSBA lobby day like the 28th or something?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to go, just let me know.
And I want to add that, you know, as board members, we're supposed to, it's kind of like continuing your education, and you do get credit for the webinars. I think it's one more, the 24th. And then going to Jeff City, I think it's like 1 point or something like that. But it all goes toward your continuing.
Who's our, do we have an MSBA representative right now?
I am.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay. That's why you know so much? Okay. Now, I was just going to suggest that whoever the representative was, to maybe send a communication out to other board members who haven't had a chance to go onto their site, know exactly what's available. And then you just heard right here, the president said she's given permission for board members to go. So you make that request through her, and then we can finance it through your budget if you need to travel to any of these activities. That's it?
Okay, now we'll move on to audience comments. Ms. Hicks?
There are no audience comments.
And so let me just remind those who might be on Zoom and anyone in the audience, when we get audience comment, it has to be written and it needs to get to the board secretary 24 hours before the meeting. And you can only address issues that are on our agenda. And I know that's different from many years ago, but they're making some changes. I don't know what they are. You might be privy to some of them, but they're making some changes in how we do audience comments. So there are going to be some mandates coming out. So right now, you send in your request, and it has to be something that's on the board agenda. So I just want to remind people of that so they don't get offended and get mad and they might have a, legitimate comment, that's not the issue. It's just the procedure that we're following now. And it's different from when it was before, but that's kind of what it is now. So I just wanted to address that to those of you who are watching this on Zoom and those of you who are in the audience and even board members that might be new and might not realize that it has been a change in this particular policy for at least for right now.
Can I just add another avenue for community members to get access to share with board? If you go onto our website, there is a board email that you can get all board members together, and you can send the board some information. So that doesn't require you to come to the board meeting and find an item on it. You might just make a comment about the some activities that are happening in the community or in our school district, and they'd be happy to receive that. That's it.
No other comments to questions? Okay. All right, class. I gotta get out of the we're near the end. I gotta get out of the teacher mode. Okay. Right now, do we have any requests for any future board agenda items? Do we have any requests for any board agenda items?
Madam Chair, wasn't sure, I think we kind of briefly discussed, revising the policy regarding, audience comments, and I wasn't sure if it was referred to committee or not. So I'm just want to get some clarification if Byron remembers or.
I think I remember one of there's legislation coming out directing boards around public comment and public activity, and I think we were waiting for that to finish before the board engages in that because it's going to require the board to do some public consultation, some other activities before they make a decision. So, and seeing that we're going to have a new board in another couple of weeks, and there's time, and we don't have to have compliance on this until I think July 2024 or something like that. So once that legislation is completed, then I think the committee can take that legislation and follow the procedures that we're being mandated to follow in order to make decisions around public involvement in board meetings.
Thank you.
Any other questions, board? All right, can I
Madam
go?
President,
Oh, you know, I do have a future agenda.
Okay.
go ahead, for future, go ahead.
I would like to get a report on, the advisory meeting. Did that happen?
You want to wait for the report?
No, it's not on the agenda.
It's in
but-
progress.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in progress.
Okay.
We're setting a date and inviting the appropriate people for.
Director Reagan?
Yes, Madam President, first of all, I would like to thank each and every director that's up here for the swearing in of me the last board meeting. I want to thank you guys for what you have done. And I look forward in the years to come that we all are working together and getting the vision of what the school district, our community, our teachers, and also the superintendent would like to do. And as you guys, we keep continuing to grow and learning each and every day one another. So once again, I want to thank all of you all because when you speak as one, regardless of what you might encounter. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Reagan. So, board, if there's no other business, I move that we adjourn.
Got to call a motion.
Oh, I have one other.
Did we announce the superintendent staying with us for a little longer?
Oh, yeah, you didn't say that. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead. You're the president. You get to announce the good news.
Let me let Ms. Coleman.
I just wanted to inform the board members, if anybody wants to go to Jeff City, I'll try and send out that information that came out. Let me know because the lady in charge is gonna put us on her VIP list. So,
Okay, all right. Sounds like a winner. What day is this on?
it's the
It's on a
28th.
Tuesday.
It's on Tuesday. Okay,
Yeah.
I can drive down there.
Okay, so do I make that?
Vice President, you delegate it to the Vice President?
Yeah, because he
He's
likes to do a lot of,
delegated to the Vice
he likes to do a lot of talking. too.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not a big talker, but apparently through the grapevine, we've heard that our superintendent has extended his contract for at least one more year. So this makes it 3 years you have left on it. Yeah. So we twisted his arm, negotiated back and forth, a little give and take, and we got him for another 3 years.
And what else, Mr. What?
Thank you, board, for extending my contract and being so amenable. That means a lot that the vision that we're created together and the work that we're doing is being reinforced, and we look forward to better things and towards accreditation in the near future.
I just want to add one thing before we adjourn. When Mr. Odine came here, he came here during COVID. And I think that's probably one of the worst times that you can bring in a new superintendent, especially a superintendent that's not even from here, okay? It's from a whole different area. And so for him to come in here and take his time and strategize, and he has really put in a lot of work in Hickman Mills and really wants to see us do very well. And not only him, but the leadership staff that works under him works very, very, very hard. And so you have to be around here to see that. They're here early in the morning. I'm not going to call their names, but they know who they are. They're here late at night. They come up with these figures. They show us how our students are growing. They talk about the things that are in place in many of our schools. So it has really been a big effort on his part coming here at a very difficult time during COVID, you know. And I also want to say this as we end, we have a board that works very, very hard. I know that oftentimes some people don't think that our board is good. They say that we're a hot mess. That's not true. We work very, very, very hard, long hours, planning, making decisions that are best for our students and the community as well. So I just want to give kudos to all of the people, board members, superintendent, leadership staff, teachers, paraprofessionals, custodians, all those people who make it happen at Hickman Mills C1 School District. Thank you, board. And with that, can we adjourn? Is there anything else to say?
No other business?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Seconded.
We're adjourning at 7:26. Thank you, board. Have a good evening.
We don't need one.
We don't need one.
We don't need one.
No more business on that.
Thank you, Ms. Green.